I am not pleased with my grooming, and someone needs to come in, and I need to wake up in the morning, and immediately we go through this like something out of Austin Powers, and he's waking up, and then so now they shave him and they shower him, and to go through this people washer thing, and they're the best barbers in New York. That's the thing. It looks like J.D. Vance, poor beard, rich butlers take care of everything. They arrange for the best barbers in New York to come. You've got for your teeth, it's set up appointment. It's fast. It's not like you have to go into the dentist's office. They have the best people brought to you. There's this people washer line you go through, and you've got 5 or 6 of the best dental hygienists and dental doctors too. On the best days, dental doctors are there, being the hygienist, and they've got the best, newest equipment from the dental water picks and everything. And they do full teeth cleaning multiple times a day. Everybody gets 6 months. They have that for you. It's multiple times a day because of high value. And so let's look at this. So we want to talk about a couple of things. You're looking in, you get to see into my computer. This right here is the only money that I have. And why am I telling people this? Oh, we can screw this guy up. We can put him in jail for something. He's not going to be able to pay the bail. We can put him in, OCCC for months and months and months over. Well, you got to tread light. We're going to charge him 50,000 cash only bail for something. Well, that's why you got to tread lightly. But that's why I'm just coming out and saying this is all I have. That's the money. It is $2,584.80. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that I have to make. I had to just come out and say, well, I got to take a break from work because I'm on a bit of a vacation, working on some projects for people. But I had to, and so this is what I have, and what are we gonna do about it? Because, I'm looking into maybe getting, and we're gonna come to this. So there's two things. We're talking about money, and we're talking about rations. Particularly, I don't know if so at the shelter there was this guy that came with a box of humanitarian rations here, MREs. There's a humanitarian rations. A guy named Ammo Can Man, MRE meals ready to eat humanitarian daily rations. So if I get these, and these, it turned out, so they had one box of these. A couple people grabbed some. This is supposed to be a 10-day supply where everybody eats. You can, you don't die if you eat one a day, but I'm a guy that exercises a lot. I carry the 30-pound dumbbells past the Hawaii News Now building in Kalihi whenever I can to show Maleka link, and I'm doing my best to taste the au jus in her panties. And anyway, so I got to eat maybe 2 a day. I like to eat. I like to eat, but if I can eat these, I think this is almost as good as canned. There's no way to beat canned. But even with canned, if you go to like the supermarket, this is better than canned. You've got 10 days of food for $15. You do the math on it. That's pretty good. So I was hoping they had it somewhere locally because you buy this, right? In fact, there's going to be things on shipping to Hawaii, especially. Let's see your price. I mean, we have to look into a lot of things. But that's just stuff I don't have time for to look into this. I have to spend an hour or two in front of my computer instead of just, like I said, in the morning, everything's taken care of. Look, I've got a lot of things I have to do. I've got people I have to meet, doors I need to knock on. Let's just spin out of this reality. Knock on doors in Hawaii Kai, meet people in Hawaii Kai, show them the picture of what psychiatry did to your penis in the book, and say, look, and maybe someone will invite you in for dinner. And you never know, it'll be a weird situation. You have to make the sell. Even though you are 34 years old, psychiatry made you mentally 11 years old. Oh, poor Jeffrey Epstein here, he's like Judge Roy Moore. He's trying to have our daughters groomed. He's trying to marry a 9-year-old. No, there's a lot of things you can do. I like them older too, so we could have the housewife. There's situations too where there's women that own homes, that the husband died, right? And there's younger women that are legal. Age of consent in Hawaii is the age of 16, but there's younger women that are legal. And I've always liked them more refined. I'm a little older than I am, but because of the fact that psychiatry made me developmentally behind, what choice do I have now but to be like Donald Trump? As I need him a tad bit younger because I'm a mentally 11-year-old Justin Bieber kind of guy in a 34-year-old's body. And so if we could just spin out of the reality of having to buy these $15, okay, can we make that last a week? Can we make a $15 MRE ready-to-eat humanitarian daily ration? And the thing with these is, these were packaged in 2022. They last 5 years. And if it doesn't, it's just like when you open canned goods, and if it ain't good. You always know. And so this last 5 years, that means there's about 1 year good life on these. That's a pretty good. So I'm hoping maybe. So tomorrow there's a food bank, and I have to do all this work to put together all the info on the food banks. And I can use AI for it. I've got all the info from the food bank flyer, so that makes it a little easier. But this is like right there. That takes 5 minutes. I have to sit down, slow down, focus on it. When I see all this stuff happening around me, people on the marina, people with family, people walking their kids, conversations I could be having, people I could be meeting, people with family members, they could be ushering me into married, people. And it's just, you're being pulled apart in all of these directions because you don't have anybody helping you. And I've mocked before, like Harry and Jeanette Weinberg, that these people require 2 brains to execute. It's because of how slow they are. But if you start where you have to start, and that's why I wrote Comeback of the Century, kind of laying out that you start where you have to start. Unfortunately, my first wife, since it's probably going to be a situation where we start small, then we can increase the social, then we can increase, but she's going to have to be a secretary kind of person, do everything we need 2 brains to execute. Literally, I need ChatGPT, and my business wife, will be a secretary, not a model like Donald Trump's Melania. That maybe we can get to that by the 4th wife or 5th wife. You gotta blow through energy at a speed 1,000,000 times higher in order to get billions of dollars like that. But okay, so I need ChatGPT, and then my special business wife, who's a secretary, not models and bottles Melania, but okay, she's a secretary. So she needs her own separate ChatGPT, so we can apply cognition augmented to brains that are augmented by artificial intelligence. We can apply cognition as 2 separate people to make a common wheel spin and start sucking money in from everybody, like that hypnotic wheel that spins in the Twilight Zone. That's what business is. Oh, he's crazy, he's insane. He's trying to send out broadcast signals. The loudspeaker spoke up and said, give up. The loudspeaker spoke up and said, give up. We are too good for this world. Drink the Kool-Aid. Well, that's what business is. That's why they call it, certain languages, they call it negotiation. In fact, if you look at, I think, Spanish, what is the word? La muerte de Artemio Cruz. I wish I spoke Spanish. Because here you got to learn Ilocano and Tagalog to work with cleaners and people that are the best ones are made in the Philippines. In California, you have to learn Spanish. So let's see here. What's the word? Spanish for business. It's negotiation or something like that. Negotio, right? So that's what it's about. Okay, so that's what it's about. Raping people in the ass and making it spin a certain way. So this is what I got. This is how much money I got. So what are we gonna do about it? Okay, they're logging me out. All right. Okay, so that brings us now to what I need to do is I need to learn quantification. So if I had a special business wife and I just wanted to kind of get a good feel for dividing things and kind of know how to stay on top of a budget, how do we make that last? And how do we get out there and knock on doors and get people to give me free money because of my sad story and my penis in the book, look how small it is. Should I just eventually send everybody, I should just send an email to all of the reporters in Hawaii showing a picture of my penis and what psychiatry did to it. As Kanye West said, I sent her a picture of my dick. But I'm gonna, for now, that's something that you have to buy the book. If you don't buy the book, if you don't go and buy the book, if you don't buy the paperback, if you don't buy Comeback of the Century as a ebook, then you're not gonna get to see a picture of my penis. But you get to see a picture of my penis if you buy the book. So you should buy the book. There we go. Your role making Mathew Ursua rich after he lost what? What did he lose? Something. Everything. Achieve wealth after losing everything using a crowdfunding and crowdsourcing model focused on real estate. And I created a plan called Take Title, Trademark Service Mark Act. It says it is a trademark because brand it's on a shirt, but it's also a service mark. I'm saying here. So until we can afford to have a lawyer USPTO service mark and trademark. This is me saying we have to take down anyone that tries to take title to my title, Take Title, which asks readers to donate real property to him to help him build his net worth and break into the financial elite, which I explain why I need butlers because of how slow my brain is. My mom smoked crystal meth when she was pregnant with me and a lot of other things too. All right. And I am here in Hawaii, Kai. I would maybe at the end of the video I'll show you the marina, and the sun is setting right now. So I'm gonna go walk down to the beach area on Kalaniani Highway, and hopefully I think that's where I'm gonna be able to see. I don't have a sense of direction like I used to. It'll all come back to me when I walk down there. Oh yeah, there's an Outback Steakhouse around the corner down on the highway. See all these boats going by. It's a nice thing to see right here at sunset. There's the Outback Steakhouse, and they have these tiki torches that burn in the outdoor seating area. This dream of having been able to age appropriately connect with well-to-do women from this area and have money of my own at the time. And I actually did. When I was working at the Star Advertiser, I was paid well. When I was a computer-assisted note taker before AI. I shouldn't call it AI. I'm starting to fall for that, like GoDaddy Arrow. That's not AI. That's automation. But automation is taking over that world. It's just speech to text is so great now, as we can see from transcripts on YouTube, and it's even better than that. You don't need people transcribing out what college professors are saying. They would call us computer-assisted note takers. And so I got to be in college years after I wasn't in college anymore. So I got to keep refreshing knowledge in my head, and especially when I'd go into courses that were sociology or history. But I was on medication at the time, and I was 400 pounds because of it. And now that I'm not on medication and have a great more deal of control over my weight and my health because I have volition to exercise, okay, I'm getting a little heavy. Like I said, I got to lose 70 or 80 pounds. I've got back right here in Hawaii with a doctor at the Queens. I'll put my health records up for you to see, like I did right on that website there, so you can see what they said they can't repair the hernia. I put mesh in there. It's not bad until the hernia I got when I was in jail up at East Syria Lane doing the burpees that I talk about in the book, Come Back to the Century. It's not horrible, but until I lose the weight, the surgeon probably won't want to go in there to find out where to put the mesh, but it's not so bad. We lose the weight first. So what I wanted to show you was this here, because this is all the things that ChatGPT can do. It's made me a little contact sheet of all of so I can't log into this site anymore. And we saw, the other thing that happened when I was in jail was that, Elon Musk changed Twitter to X, and that rolled out about halfway through my incarceration. And then, what else happened? He purged a lot of people's accounts as he was changing it over to X. And my accounts are still there, thankfully. And we're trying to, our next step is to archive all of my tweets. And if we can find everything on Facebook, archive all of that. That's one of my projects that I've got to do. But now, I can just link to it. And as long as Instagram does keep up at Awakened Agent, it's trademark service mark Mathew Ursua, that site, and you can just click right here from the picture. You can search for things, you can go right to it. There it is on Instagram. So I was going to put this into one of my posts I'm writing now for Substack. This one's going to go to my subscribers. I'm using it as kind of a newsletter. I should probably be using a legit CRM, but it just start with free technology since you have no money, as I showed you, and you can use Substack for that. And this is publicly viewable also, but you've got your insider subscribers, to people I know from the journalism industry in Hawaii, talking about anti-psychiatry stuff, and starting with this beautiful quote. I think just go right. What I did was I just went into, I loaded my entire the full text of my memoir from 2016 once I was a reporter. I said, what was that quote that had to do with? And it pulled it for me. And I realized that this speaking of Kelly Simek and high ceilings, so much of what I was writing about in that book, the beauty of the language of it, as medicated as I was, that there was this innate understanding beneath all of the being terribly perplexed by how the medication slows you and reduces your discernment to what the speed of life is, and you have no clue that the women you're attracted to, because what that medication is doing to you, can't twirl a baton like Kelly Simek, and that there is some value to that and in the coordination of it. So I wonder if in 50 years these Ward Avenue storefronts will look like they do now, and I think about how maybe there will be rust on the metal and tarnish on the stained glass signs. That has to do with a lot of things in light of my having gone into real estate, and so we're going to have to actually do this is the 10th anniversary. We're gonna have to do sometime before the year is up a 10th anniversary of Once I Was a Reporter. I'm going into tangents that I think I probably talked about all of this in the 3-part series of what my content budget is for all the things I want to put up. So I found that picture and I'll put it in there. And if I wanted to locate, for instance, so what I want to do is I want to make another one, and I want to find, this is what I'm going to do for you folks, so that my next thing I send the reporter isn't just, oh, this guy's just using this thing. Like, he's not even talking about getting a fire scanner. He's not updating us on, how he wants to get a fire scanner from the fire department because they ripped out all the radios now. He was the guy that he's just tarnishing his own image by talking about, he calls it hump day. Well, yeah, that's what you call Wednesday. It's hump day. And he's talking about, is taking it a direction where it doesn't elevate the discussion. So anyway, but so we can just clear all of that in a very easy way by taking the page I had it make with my Flickr photos. And there's a little bit of an error here. It's only archived about half of them so far, but it's a good selection. So let's just go to, all right, there we go. And I can search for it. So I want it to be, since I'm going to send this out sometime between June 12 and June 16. So I did some housekeeping on I don't really like Mac, is what I have to say, because you should really just be using command line interface. All right, let's see here. So if I wanted to search for time frames, I wonder if we could go with June any year. Let's say something. I guess not June, it's June. Just type in June. Okay, I guess we can't do that. I wonder if there's any way. All you have to do then is we can ask the question. We've got to pull more metadata on it. Flickr page. Oh God. We just ask AI. So we drag this in, go to project. See how long this takes? Like, I should have someone kind of help me do this. Like, work on this so I can get working on something else, and my special business wife can just do kind of legwork stuff, like, hey, just ask AI to put the dates from all my Flickr photos in there, and then archive small files, and then we'll move toward archiving the large image files in case for some reason Flickr, these are historic images. We want to make sure if for some reason that gets taken down or disappears, they start purging Flickr. I don't lose these. How many images is this? Thousands of pictures I took in those years, chasing the fighters and policemen around Honolulu. And these were in New Orleans with Michael Leidemann. So we start where we have to start. We just ask AI. Here's the, all right, we just drag that in. So you see where I'm going with it. We ask, how can we have the dates, the photos were taken, scraped from Flickr metadata, and add to search bar time frames, ranges of dates, and or a specifically tailored search bar for finding anniversary shots from any year, but from a certain date range for all years and year when I want, say, an anniversary of the day it is on when a post will go up as a, say, flashback kind of thing. And it could be 10 years old, 3 years old, 8 years, I don't know, and as long as it's some anniversary of a date or also date range, it could be a few days off, but it's gotta be a range. Okay. So now it's gonna tell me what we can do about it, and as you can. So, this can be added directly to the archive. Yay! So you can go through and recompile all that metadata on the images, publicly available site. So that can be right in my personal search page. But I'm going to try to put up also on .com for everybody to use, so we can know who I am, because my personal search pages have incorporated into them my phone number, email address, and look, there's my face. So this is a service to the public to look up my history. These are Creative Commons. And that's the importance of getting me out there and getting other people out there to keep doing this, is because there's a lot of value in what you can do with these images of real police officers at work, real firefighters at work, real activities of first responders and also government officials at work. Yes, you can mock them. That falls under editorial. You can criticize the work they do. You can criticize too much police, there's too little police, there's bad training, or you can say the police are doing great. You can go out to the HPD website and say, commend an officer. Or even better, you can start your own platform, become the media. Don't let Plan Giardi do it for you, and have your own site and take pictures of officers that are doing good work. And if someone like me happens to come across something, I don't only post bad or good. It's just I can't say that I have a representative sampling of all of the activities that happen in the police department here or anywhere. But if everyone does their all right. Starting to get late here, and like I said, the sun was setting, so I said maybe I'll show you the marina out there. Hawaii Kai, here we go. There's Cocoa Head out there. Well, that's not Cocoa Head. Is that what is that? It's something. That's Cocoa Head, isn't? I don't know. I gotta confirm. I think that's Cocoa Head, because when I go up, I think those are the stairs that I walk up over there. Anyway, I told those stories about when I lost my last 20 pounds in Hawaii in 2022, thereabout. And so I was losing weight all across Las Vegas, San Diego. I was homeless. I flew back to Hawaii. It was that tumultuous period before I spent 2.5 years thereabout, completely paired with some time in a mental institution and homeless in Las Vegas in incarceration. So I said, hey, we're waiting in limbo. But I went up those stairs. I was finally, and just again, you have to read the book, at a weight where I could use my penis, because psychiatry made my penis so small, and also it made me so obese that I couldn't get my penis above my belly fat. It's just over my penis, and so I finally lost. I was a little underweight actually, but it was a good thing, and underweight fat wise. But it turns out that when I was talking about, for instance, here in this post I'm writing for you folks in the journalism camp and my media contacts, also a lot of college newspapers, big ones across the country that keep track of this scanner issue, Bill 46, forever. Why don't you go in and eat by yourselves? What a woman asked me. She might have been, I don't think the Marines there from Camp Pendleton venture out too much. They really don't need to. It's mostly civilians downtown Oceanside. They come in on the train from LA and all that. But I don't know, she might have been Marine Corps or something like that, because they're very good even before they get into Marines and they go through their training. A lot of them, they're very kinesiology, fitness. They just know a thing or two about how to judge genetic quality. And so when she told me, and so I was asking beautiful women in Oceanside at lunchtime, traversing past Mission Avenue in Pureview Way, why it was that they weren't walking into Swami's Cafe with me, so people could look in through the big glass windows and see us. They wore dresses I'd always wished I'd seen them in when I was a teen in Hawaii. So them, girls are girls wherever you go. Finally, one said, why don't you go in and eat by yourself? And I didn't have quick enough an answer. So she sidestepped me just like all the others everywhere else in America. So this will be something, this little preview, I guess, of what you're going to get to read when I send it to you. All of you in the journalism camp. You can always go to that Substack too. That site's right. Like there's the MathewUrsua.substack.com. You can read when it goes up. You don't subscribe to it. You can subscribe to it there. You can also become a Mathew Ursua associate and pay about $2,000 for a exclusive subscription. You do get extra content. I'll make sure you do. If you pay me $2,000 on Substack for an inside membership. Having more muscle on me would have helped. I had not started strength training. I just did a lot of cardio, and if I'd continued to do it, I probably could have made it to the LA Marathon this year, and I probably would have made it to the Honolulu Marathon. I was here during the Honolulu Marathon. It was late last year. I could have had my pink shirt that said finisher. I wanted to run a marathon. I always wanted to run a marathon. In fact, I still do. and I think we want to train for it. And before the Olympics in 2028, I really do want to be in the LA Marathon. It's one of the most democratic, athletic, really all around, all levels get in there and finish the incredible race. So what I wanted to say about the muscles was here. If you look at, if you just Google me, Mathew Ursua, this guy here needed 50 pounds of muscle on him, if not more. That was a problem with this guy here. And he looked a lot better than being 400 pounds, right? But he needed a lot of muscle on him.
Posts on Facebook's public Facebook post, mental health was harassing.
There we go, right there.
And has since.
So he needed a lot of muscle on him, is what the problem was. So look at this skinny guy there. Look at that guy, poor guy. Look at that poor guy. Oh man, everything's just, it's all over. Look at the poor guy there. And this was me before, when I was 417 plus pounds. It was really, right there, there's me. Michael Leidemann took this picture of me in front of the lake at Western, went to Chicago that year. Look how fat I was. All right, so I lost all that weight. Here's me again. There's me there. That guy needs some muscle on him. And if I'd had some muscle on me, I think muscle really does increase IQ. And that's something I'm going to be talking about in my upcoming companion to Come Back of the Century that I think I've told you it's going to be called The Dark Parts of Wisdom. We're using AI to help write it with this. It can't write it. It won't write it. It won't write the book because it'll say it's unethical. It's got sickening things and you're Hitler. But you can have it, answer to the best of its ability. What Mathew said about this or that. For instance, one of the things I might actually do for all of it is give you, especially in the journalism community, a preview before I publish the book. We'll have a special online release of a web book that's an AI style book where you have to load the source. I've got how long is my fact? Let's ask the question of the project. Minus duplicated sections and transcripts. How many words total is the combined text in the transcripts and source files we're drawing from in this project? So it's going to tell me how long this takes. ChatGPT is not fast. OpenAI is not fast. Okay, so here's all the transcripts. So there is 1,967,232. So 1,967,232 words. And it's substantial duplication. Okay, so then it's actually, right, perfect. A more realistic estimate of the actual primary source transcripts. AI loves to say corpus. If you see the word corpus in someone's writing, AI wrote it. 10 to 1.2 million words of unique transcript material. And if you add the memoir, the full text of Come Back of the Century, which is Scheuring, also 1.3 million words. So if it's a million words, that's 10 to 12 long nonfiction books. So I wrote 4.5 times the length of War and Peace. Now, it doesn't mean it's good stuff, because I'm sure Leo Tolstoy also wrote, if not 4 to 5 times the length of War and Peace, 10 times the length of War and Peace in order to arrive at War and Peace after gutting out with a red pen the bad stuff. So that's just the reality of writing. But I do have 4,800 page book for you, and you guys can maybe take all that text and I'll just find out how to write a special AI book and make an HTML page or something like that explains how to do it, and start you with some starter prompts to ask AI what the writer says about this, and that. But for instance, there's a key thing I want to talk about in Dark Parts of Wisdom, and this is kind of helping me because I just asked it point blank in ChatGPT. I said, okay, what did the writer say, if anything, specifically about him being in Hawaii in the early 2020s? And this has to do with wanting to connect with security guards from Securitas or Allied Universal in Ala Moana Shopping Center. And he talks about other shopping malls. What does he say about that? Something to do with studying the speed of movement right? And so I just kind of had a vague idea. That's something I really want to highlight in the book. I talk about it, it's like Encyclopedia Britannica. I talk about everything. So the previous answer only captured the beginning of the theory. Considerably more material in the archive that expands on what he believes. Security camera analysis would reveal AI, facial recognition, group behavior, individual behavior, speed of movement, subtle signs of rejection and interest and arousal. The speaker places the origin of the concept in the 2022 to 2023 before his incarceration. He said he wanted to approach security personnel at the shopping center and potentially other malls and asked to review surveillance footage of large crowds moving through public spaces, names Galleria, Fashion Show, Westfield Malls in San Diego, Alamana. He wanted footage from locations containing different populations, economic classes, tourist flows, and crowd densities. What interested him was not crime, it was human movement. What he thought security cameras could reveal, the archive shows at least 6 separate hypotheses. The speed of movement is a social variable. Group behavior versus individual behavior. Hidden social hierarchies. Third one's a charm. Dating and mate selection. Fourth one's even better. That's the 4 things that are important. North, south, east, and west. Township range section has 4. Tier 1, range 1. Square 1. 5, class differences. That ties into everything. 6, historical sociology. He says it's about the banks of history. It was at Will Durant. I mean, he was not interested in merely individual people. Surveillance archives represent a historical record of society. Okay, well done. Why security guards? Okay, so there we go. So now we are on the bus back to Kalihi area from Hawaii. Now, here is what I want to show you folks. This is what I have here. And these, some things to me are worthy investments. My dirty fingernail. Someone has to do something about that for me. I just don't have the time. That's all things I have to be doing. This is a Parker Jotter brand fountain pen. I love these fountain pens. They're just one of my favorite things. In fact, this nib on this Parker Jotter, it's actually not superior to the disposable Pilot Varsity. This is a Parker Jotter typical ballpoint. And anyways, this is just the little things crazy people like me are into. But this is where things really heat up. That I've got all this folder stuff, and my entire life I dreamt of being able to do Python and code. And I wonder, I'm pretty sure Christina Jedra at Civil Beat, last I heard, she was promoted to like an editor position. So she doesn't have to do writing anymore for whatever reason. But in any event, this is. Hang on. That maybe she should be my special business wife. And this brown folio was falling apart because if I had a developer, like I said, there's some things AI won't do that OpenAI in particular won't do out of ethics. But ethics is a game. And if you want to win it, you can't let one person decide what's ethical. And journalists know it's case by case. And when journalists know it's case by case, if we're doing business, not journalism, you want to win, not just be compassionate to those that lose. Because when you win in business, we agreed that we live in a capitalist society. Either you're going to be the owner or the renter. And Christina and I choose to be the owners. And I know because of how far behind I am mentally, and yes, it's psychiatry's fault, but life is life, and you can't just say, oh well, that means I get everything and I can just take Donald Trump's building from him. No, psychiatry did that to me. I was raped by that way, and if you were raped by that way, then you can't say I'm the victim of it if you magically weren't raped by that way. Your penis isn't the size of a pencil eraser because you took medications that prevented you from chasing what you needed to have. I believe that when you get that nectar on it, that it increases the size of it, and that's why Ian Scheuring's is not the size of a pencil eraser. Rick Blanchiardi's might be a little closer, but it's definitely not the size of a pencil eraser. And Donald Trump's, there in terms, you compare mine to then Rick Blanchiardi's, and then Ian Scheuring, and then you got Donald Trump right there. That's number one. That's like magnitudes. Definitely, and plus too, Donald Trump is Republican. My lifelong dream was to be a Republican, but you have to be rich enough. So because of who my grandmother is, and what she did for the realtors, and that's the next set of people I gotta be tapping. I'm talking to journalists about Bill 46, and we gotta talk to the local real estate agents about, get me a girl with a fast-talking mouth and a brain that's a little faster than the fast-talking mouth, and business workforce from one of your rich families. But what she did was the California, we call it disclosure packages, and now I think the direction, I actually saw the writing on the wall. We got her out of it, and I do not regret not investing lots of money like our competitors did. I actually think they're going to regret, all said and done, if they did it, and they did do it, from what I understand, investing all this money and having a company come in and do librarian work that, UNLV, special collections in Las Vegas, the libraries have all these archives, and they're going to scan all this film in. Like, that's what that's for. Not for building permit records at the Department of Imaging branch at DPP. That's retarded. That's because you know what? The brokers have gone that direction and said, I don't think they like me saying this, but whatever someone puts on the SRPDS, they went away from DROA decades ago. Now it's seller's real property disclosure, and whatever the seller puts on there, if it's not to my knowledge, if you have people, if the precedent, if the legal precedent, if the standard of practice is the way to put it, because we're not lawyers, is that we're going to try to confirm that and dig that up in each and every instance, not just when the buyer wants to get out of it in extreme circumstances, and most of the time it still doesn't help. In California, you've got incredible protections. These forms, you should see the California Association of Realtors, you should see their forms. CAR, CC, cancellation, it's towels and towels to wipe the tears of both sides when you're trying to bring them together to agree to give the buyer their dream in California. And you can play games and extend things a long, long time. But do you want to make it happen or not? Eventually, we all end up crying a lot of tears, and we can wipe them up with the paperwork in California. But it's about folders. She used legal size folders. She used the cheapest Uniball, and those are actually the preferred pens of secretaries. The Uniball with the cap, because I have one in my other bag. I still use them too, but because I got an English degree, I went the route of the pen that had King Charles when he was the Prince of Wales. Anyway, but it's not actually manufactured in England anymore, and it was never chartered by the royal family. But it's like everyone knows Donald Trump's the president of the United States. We got capitalist in office, John Galt. That's our, John Galt. Who is John Galt? Donald Trump, president number 45, 47. Who is Prince of Wales? Who chartered, because that was for a little while manufactured in England or whatever. They could say that that's the Prince of Wales, like 8th degree English. We're gonna. What better pen to have than the one that was chartered by the Prince of Wales? So I went from legal size folders and legal size notepads. Maybe I should, do it just like Grandma did, to letters, because in English you write letters, it's arts and letters. I chose a smaller penis, I guess. And I'm going to explain this unique system I have, and it's a system of folders, because if you got a laptop, if you got 2 cell phones, I gotta have 2 cell phones. Right now I've only got 1. But if you want to do a little bit of business during your poorer phases in life, and you don't have a butler yet, you don't have an assistant, you don't have people that are helping you, you don't even have your business wife, you're trying to get your business wife, you're trying to get that secretary girl, maybe from the ranks of realtor, associate, realtor. I think they changed it finally, where they got rid of that associate model. They need to get rid of that associate model everywhere around the country, with the exception of a few places. You pay your dues and you're a realtor. But when I was doing all these packages for them, the realtor was the broker, and all of the agents were realtor associates. But you could hang your license if you had a broker license under a broker. It works the same everywhere in the country. They just let the regular real estate salespeople just call them full realtors. I think they did go that route. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of the board of realtors like I should. And MLS and High Central. That's what Kelly Simek's for. And Compass, she can help us navigate. I'm going to talk about that because a cell phone, two cell phones, a laptop, you need paper in front of you. And I'm going to talk about it. These long buses now at the terminus of the number one. So we're going back to Kaligi and show you here the system we have. Let's pull a couple folders out where. So I've got all these projects on tap. And this one, and each of these folders has an electronic mirror or a version of it. So let's just go with this one. So I've got one for that one. This is a new folder I haven't provisioned yet. So it's my new folder. So let's go with so assign it a number. Okay. That's the crossover substack I'm working on. I have an idea, so I just kind of pull these folders out. And I have an idea, just kind of let ideas occur to me, scribble something on a piece of paper, put it there. So this is actually the folder relays. These are all old folders I'm just recycling. I don't have a lot of money, so we can just find old folders lying around, give it a little title. And this is actually the folder related to the folder project itself, and all of the APIs, Graph API, or OneNote, because I use Microsoft OneNote. Microsoft actually, who would use those programs with Google Sheets, feeding everything, all things you can do. Actually, Microsoft really does have some of the best things. I do like Outlook just because I'm from that world of, Dave Ramsey even says in his book Entrepreneurship that he uses Outlook. He's got everything in Outlook, and incredible integration. So let's see, all you do is, we'll do this one. Take a picture. Folder number 5. So what we can do is take that image, folder, drag it in here, and just ask it. And this is, rudimentary. And eventually we're going to ask it to make like a phone app or something like that I can use. I was going to say, let's get a QR code label printer, but for security reasons, so we're just going to scan that and go to the website. Every folder has its own website that links, URL to a page that links to all of the electronic resources surrounding each folder. Google Drive mirror, anything like OneDrive on the Office 365 side, any links to OneNote, web app, desktop app, mobile app, or notebook pages, sections, or entire notebooks, or folder, anything like that. Any associated events that have been added to my Outlook, but that's, back-end integration, or even wanting to query Outlook, and that's the value of incorporating OpenAI into it. It can read a bunch of text and summarize, and read a bunch of events and summarize in a paragraph where we are with it, the actionable tasks, or if there's any events associated with this folder, right? And you can have easily just ask your phone about it. So you get a note added to the folder, and that's why the concept of mirroring the folder and the electronic side is important, because some of this goes to, sometimes I'm working without a printer. I'm the kind of person, if I don't have a printer, at least a monochrome printer like from Walmart, but I like to get good monochrome printers, monochrome, laser. But if all I have is a copy shop here, or wherever you go to, I like on the main, go to Staples, and one of the underused resources for folks in Hawaii, I can't think of, they just don't think Office people, Office Max, is they have, copy resources in their stores, or incredible copy centers. But if that's all I have to work with, we gotta pay 10 cents a page instead of pennies, or less for, to buy some paper and get a nice big Brother toner card, NFC. this, even this one, as slow as this printer is, it's a reliable, you know, $270 printer, integrated scanner. I have enough shelf there, so I don't have a place to put it. So there we go. There's that folder, and you just have it. Okay, look in sources and chat project memory. Pull all the links and the info surrounding this folder. The thing with Graph API is you can have it say, just create OneNote pages entitled in. So there you go. Here's all the links surrounding that folder. And we are in a much better place now for as I munch on some McDonald's fries. We got a minute to go before they close, but we're in a much better place. I tell you what my grandmother used to do is there would be TMKs, so let's see. There'd be TMKs on the folder, so another thing that can be done with this system, and off of these sites, each TMK actually has its own URL string. So if there's a TMK, let's go by location address. So, you know, doctoring out, crystalling out. They're gonna kick me out of here because it's 11 o'clock. But doctoring out has two properties here. So I went down to just do like old times at Jack's office and put TT101 in the CAMA, vector sketch, information field book pages. And one is, yeah, PPP. Well, the internet is slow. So what could you do? I need unlimited mobile broadband. So I might have to switch from Mint Mobile to Verizon Visible, but I do need two phones. So actually, that's because I'm homeless. I like having Google Pixel, Google Store, a 2-year plan up front for lost damage replaced. So if someone steals the phone, it's not even $100 deductible. But you know, all this stuff can be easily aggregated. So if you put a TMK on the folder, scan that in with the folder number, it can immediately create spreadsheets, etc. So when you scan in the TT101 or what have you from the folder, and it pulls everything. We used to call this home computer stuff you could get on your home computer here by not even having to go to the tax office. And so let me get into a little bit, and this is a bit of a tangent, but while we have a little time left, they don't have a name search feature on this site. Some assessors' offices have name search features across the country. Doesn't mean you can't get it. Like in Honolulu, unlike California, in the direction they've gone because of the legislation that passed, I was actually going to go to Sacramento and testify against this and make a big push to keep things open in the direction of Obama's Open Data Project, so people can get this stuff for free, find who owns the properties, find concentrations of wealth, and are going to marry into their families. This is stuff that kids should be able to do if they're poor. Mexicans living in Lemon Grove when they wish they were white people living in La Jolla. You got to know San Diego. At least they'll find a beautiful housewife in La Mesa. Like Obama said, and also the posters in the schools, Hawk the Mifflin posters or whatever. Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I think I'm out of data. I'm gonna have to pay Mint Mobile $20 for 10 gigabytes of data, and that's ridiculous. Unbelievable. We're gonna have to make some changes fast, and look at how much money I have. Like I said, that's not enough money for it, so we got to move quickly. And I could really maximize, much like with planning out those MREs, which we haven't done yet. that amount of money to go where I need to go and do what I need to do. If I had someone like Christina Jedra or another beautiful young woman that had coding and a mathematical mind, but you develop the mathematical mind. In fact, it's just the reason I'm terrible at arithmetic is because I haven't mulled over enough ledger sheets. And in fact, the weird secret, since we're out of data clearly, with Grant Cardone, maybe they'll let me log in even though we're closed already. It's 11:04, it's supposed to be out of here. Is, Donald Trump trash talks college, Grant Cardone trash talks college, but they actually do have college degrees. Donald Trump has a degree in corporate finance, pretty much, BS in economics from Wharton School of Finance, and this was before college is what it was today. This was way before the admission selectivity that you had with that's her there, that's Dr. Young. Educator, private institutions, and so let's see. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. Hope someone will help me.